Hello, everyone, and welcome to our final Oscar nomination predictions. Anthony is making his triumphant return after about a month plus of not being on the channel. He did not disappear. Things just got a little crazy for both of us scheduling wise. But we couldn't do final predictions. We'll get some final takes from Anthony before we get the nominations. So how are your feelings on the race at this moment, Anthony, before we head into our predictions in every single category?
Yes. First off, I want to thank all the fans who noticed my absence, and we're all good. No worries. I think with the holidays and also some, other projects, it's been a trying time, but I'm glad I'm here, and I wouldn't miss this. And it's turning up to be a very interesting season because I think, unlike a lot of other years where there are like one or two favorites, maybe some award season villains, I feel like the general atmosphere is that there's a lot of movies that people are very passionate about. I feel like we don't usually have this amount of both films and performances. So it makes it really exciting because there is so much love and enthusiasm and different narratives at play that all could win out at the end of the day. So I'm very excited. And I think this shaped up to be a really exciting year for film. And I think any year where not only could we have so many films with like 10 plus nominees, but we have a film that potentially could set a new record for the most Oscar nominations in history
Multiple.
is a very, very exciting season. So I'm very excited to see what I feel like, though, because the amount of films that are going to get 10 plus, there's not as much surprise category to category because a lot of these movies are just going to repeat over and over and over again. So that is the one thing.
That's what I'm worried about. Looking at people's predictions broadly, there's far too many categories where everyone agrees on the top five. And it's just, I don't think it's going to end up being that way. And there are a lot of movies that I think are going to get double-digit nominations. I forget the last time. I think it would probably be about 4 this year. Last time that many films got double-digit nominations, I don't know, maybe the 2019 year, I would guess, had a lot of double-digit noms.
There was Joker had 11, and that was the front runner, and then or the leader. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Irishman, and 1917 all had 10.
Okay. This is going to be more, though. This is going to be like 15, 14 range for some of these films, which is crazy. That happens when you add an extra category, too. But yeah, crazy stuff. As we head into our predictions, I think, honestly, with how much people are agreeing with a lot of the categories, the safe bet, if you want to do as well as everyone else, is probably to just go with the top 5 in a lot of the categories. But if you want to try and do maybe a little bit better than everyone else, you have to take some calculated risks and go with people outside of the top 5 in specific categories, which is what I always like to do. But that also you run the risk of doing worse than everyone else. But what's the fun in going with the top 5 in every category? So without further ado, let's start working our way bottom up, score all the way up to picture, and then I'll talk quickly about the shorts categories. Who knows at the end of this. Let's begin, starting with original score. We both have Sinners, One Battle After Another, Hamnet, and Frankenstein in there. And I think most people's number 5 in this category, speaking of the top 5, neither of us have, which is Marty Supreme. I went with Train Dreams, and you went with F1. What's speaking to you about F1 right now?
Well, the music branch, as we know when we get to song, is very insular.
Clicky.
And clicky could be another word for it. And Hans Zimmer is definitely one of the greats, an Oscar winner of this category. And I feel like there is a lot of respect for F1. I don't know if it's going to make its way to Best Picture like some do, but I do think it's going to have a healthy showing in the craft categories. I do think people definitely admire this score for its bombast, for its energy. And I think many people, I think, do hold it in high regard with a lot of other Zimmer scores. So I do think it will stand out in that regard.
So I think we don't really need to discuss the top 4 here. Sinners, One Battle, Hamnet, and Frankenstein hit all of the precursors. Pretty safe. Most people have Marty in that 5th spot, and those 5 I think are in contention for getting in a lot of different categories. So I don't want to go with those 5 in a bunch of categories. That's one reason why I'm not doing Marty. Marty's score is a very more electronic leaning score, and this branch has shown. I mean, last year's Challengers 1 was in the front with score, out front as a front runner. It didn't even get in, and I was listening to last night. I was listening to the last, I think it was like 5 or so years of the scores that they did end up nominating, and what I noticed is that they clearly prefer orchestral type scores. And even though Train Dreams is a bit of a dark horse, when I was just listening through all of the nominated scores, the one that I think fit the vibe of those scores that they tend to go for to me was Train Dreams in that style. F1 has a little bit of orchestral, but it also has a little bit of electronic. And I don't think, like, I know, like, one reason why that 2023 year I predicted Williams getting for score for Dial of Destiny is because I think he is a little bit more of a branch name than Zimmer. I think Zimmer has missed for some stuff before. You could also maybe argue about Begonia, but the main reason I'm not going with Marty is just because I couldn't, when I was listening through all of those scores, come up with a like comp for Marty score wise. I guess Social Network would be the closest one, but I think that was a much higher level of strength film wise. So I'm leaning Train Dreams just because it seems like the type of score that they tend to go for. And I think Train Dreams is a little bit of a dark horse in a few categories. If I have it getting into Best Picture, I think it can sneak into one or two categories.
I mean, Marty is a top tier picture contender, so I do think that it's a little different than something like Challenger, which, you know, this would have been its sole nomination if it got in. It didn't get in anywhere else. But I ultimately, there's something also about the, you know, it is a little bit anachronistic as far as the timbre of the music in relation to the period of the film, which I could see, you know, turning some people off. To me, I think it works. I think it speaks to how Marty, the character, is ahead of his time. But I could see also some people maybe taking a step back and thinking this doesn't really mesh. And so, yeah, so I'm curious. So you would put F1 before Marty. So Marty would be like in your like seventh position.
I actually, just because of Marty's strength overall, I would probably have that in sixth after Train Dreams, then F1. I'd also keep an eye out for Begonia, which is, I think, pretty safely in Best Picture, and Jerks and Fendricks got a few years for Poor Things. It's a very like bold operatic score. So I would keep an eye out on that one too. But out of those four in contention for that final spot, something about Train Dreams, just listening to it, seemed like something this branch would like the most out of all of them. Maybe it's a little bit of hope dictated.
Yeah, we'll get to why I'm not as optimistic about that. A little bit.
I don't get it, but yes, we will.
By the end of it, you might. That's my job.
We'll see. We'll see. Also, I saw Train Dreams with a live orchestral score, conducted by Bryce Dessner himself, and just beautiful. It's beautiful. I think it's very deserving. So we shall see. Original song, we agree on 4 once again, with Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunters, I Lied to You from Sinners, Dear Me from Diane Warren, Relentless, of course, she's got to have her spot. And we've both got Train Dreams from Train Dreams. What you are going with is, I think, the safe, what most people have at number 5 spot, a pretty good pick, Girl in the Bubble from Wicked for Good. I am going with Last Time I Seen the Sun from Sinners, which in my opinion, I think is the best song in that film. And the main reason I'm going with that is just when you look at films that are super strong in Best Picture and are centered around music and have multiple viable song contenders, they usually end up getting multiple in, like Emilia Perez, huge, strong Best Picture contender, got multiple song nominees. La La Land, Barbie. I think Sinners kind of fits that mold. It's what's it called? The Last Time I Seen the Sun song has done pretty well precursor-wise. It got the HMMA nom for main song, and it also got the SCL nom. So it's not like it hasn't hit precursors. So that's why I'm leaning that way, because I also think Wicked is just continuing to lose steam, even though it is Stephen Schwartz. I don't know. And that song doesn't really pop, doesn't really stand out, in my opinion.
Did you
like above
that pun and set? There you go. Okay. Listen, I don't think it's crazy to think that Sinners could get the double nom. I do think, though, if it was, Wicked would not be the one to fall out. I just think that Stephen Schwartz has such respect. He is an Academy Award winner. Wicked for Good is one of the, you know, it is a musical. It's one of the few songs that actually is part of the actual narrative of the story, which I think I honestly think we should disqualify credit songs. Last Time I See the Sun is a little bit of an iffy situation because it's a bridge between the film and the end credit scene or the mid credit scene. Even if I think Wicked for Good is definitely, you know, underperforming based on the expectations, but it's also because of how strong the film was last year. The areas that it has been doing well, I think, have been the areas that are concentrated around Ariana Grande. And so I still think this song is okay. And I would just be a little surprised because I do still think there is a lot of love for Wicked for Good. You saw that in the performance it had on the shortlist. You know, it did pretty well over there. And I'll also remind me, I do believe, did No Place Like Home also get on the shortlist for the Oscars? Because I at that point, it's like, well, clearly there is, clearly there is still affection for this property and for Stephen Schwartz, that I would be shocked at that point if, you know, he doesn't get one of them onto the list. So I'm going to stay strong with Wicked. I do think it's not over. It's still going to perform in some categories, though it definitely is losing steam, specifically in one category, which I'm sure we finally are going to agree on.
Yes.
So we'll get to that.
Wicked stands. Look how the season has changed. Who's on what side?
I mean, I will just spoil this, because also, of course, we have our own picking the categories coming up, and doing our own version of what we would pick. And I will say Ariana Grande would not be on my personal list. So if that says anything about what this season has been, how strong it is otherwise, but also the performance of Wicked for Good, I mean, I think that says a lot. That being said, I think this is one of the places where you can expect to see it perform and get nominations, though it has no chance of winning. I think it is clearly down to Golden, and I could see I Lied to You surprising, because I do think it's not just the song, it's the sequence that it embodies, which is one of maybe the best scene of the year, is the I Lied to You, tracking shot. So it's I'm going to be curious, but I do think Wicked is in there.
I think it's iffy, especially if the person who sings the song might not even end up in there. I just can see Wicked maybe falling out of a few categories, especially because, I mean, spoiler alert, people already know this. I don't have it in Best Picture. I think most reasonable people probably don't at this point. We
don't need to, hurt the fans.
Well, we're talking statistics at this point. If we're being reasonable, missing PGA and SAG, it's not getting into Best Picture.
No, I mean, I don't think it's getting into Best Picture. I don't think it's getting any above the line nomination.
Spoiler alert! You're spoiling our future.
I already basically said that.
Sound. We've both got One Battle After Another, F1, Sinners, and Frankenstein. And Anthony, surprisingly enough, is the one going with an Avatar nomination, and I'm the one going against it somehow. My main thing here is with Avatar is when you look at the sound precursors, it's done pretty. I mean, we're recording this before the Cinema Audio Society, the CAS nominations, so who knows, that could help change our nomination predictions here. But Avatar didn't get a single MPSE, Motion Picture Sound Editors Association nomination, whereas other films like Sinners got 3, F1 got 2, One Battle got 3, Frankenstein got 3. Avatar didn't get a single one, and Surat did get some nominations there. So that's where I'm leaning that way, even though it also got the CCA nomination, which Avatar did get. And I heard from the Bake Off presentation that Avatar did have a good showing there. And it doesn't purely make sense to me, especially as an Avatar stan, to have Avatar just getting a VFX nomination, but getting no nomination,
winning that award as well. Like, it would be weird for Avatar to. Yeah, but still, like, talk about the heights of which this has fallen. I mean, that would be crazy. I think the only thing, it's less of a feeling for Avatar than it is just, I don't know if I'm ready to fully get behind Surat, because that sort of nomination in here, I mean, the Zone of Interest definitely opened this door, but the Zone of Interest was in Best Picture. Surat kind of just came on the radar really with the shortlist. I think that's when it really was able to kick it into overdrive.
Yes.
And so I think it would be remarkable if a movie like that could get into sound, but I'm not sure overall if it will be able to overcome the hurdle that it has going up against, these big Hollywood productions, with these just so many components to their sound design. I just think Avatar: Fire and Ash, definitely, it's a question of how much does the movie have this atmosphere of disappointment to it. I think similarly to Wicked for Good, but I don't know if it's going to hurt it in categories where it's designed to perform well, like something like this.
Yeah, I just worry, like, if it's doing terrible with the precursors from sound editors themselves, those are the people voting on the category here, that I just worry it might not get in there. And I do think Surratt, with how good it did shortlist and wise at the Oscars and then longlist wise at the BAFTA Awards, I think with how good it's performed there, I mean, getting casting, a bunch of it, sound, score, all that stuff, part of me thinks it's going to pop into another category besides international. It's showing a lot of strength across multiple branches. That this of those options makes the most sense to me. I don't think that we already covered it. Score, I don't think they're going to go for that very electro based score. So this is where
listen,
I think it's going to sneak.
I want to be on your side. I think that's the more exciting nomination. I'm just, there are some places where also betting against, sometimes we think like, oh, they're going to do something cool, and then they don't, and they just go with what we expect them to do. So this could be that. But who knows? I would be surprised. I would be very happy to see a movie like Surratt perform in these craft categories.
Yes, me too. That's where we're taking our calculated risks. This is one of them for me, I suppose. Moving along to our next slide. VFX, we only agree on 3 here. We've both got Avatar, F1, and Sinners. Then I've got The Lost Bus and Superman, and you've got Frankenstein and Wicked for Good. I'm curious why you have Frankenstein in there in particular, because Frankenstein completely blanked at the Visual Effects Society nominations, which is a terrible sign. Well, it's really bad. It's really, I mean, Lost Bus got 4 VES nominations.
I understand, but I also, for a second I thought you said Superman got 10. I was like, for what?
No, let's see. Superman got 4. That's pretty good. And the BAFTA longlist and the CCA nom. Even though I don't like that movie, I think it's going to happen.
The year was 2019. And, there was, some big visual effects contenders up. You had Avengers Endgame, you had Lion King, and you also, I forget what the last one in my head was. But then you had 2 other nominees, The Irishman and 1917. And 1917 ended up taking the category. So that taught me a lesson that where, you could use the precursors, and sometimes, they will, will out for you like they could for Lost Bus and Superman. I tend to go with the movies that are either best picture contenders or just all around players, because I think they're just more on the radar for people when voting. You could be right, but The Lost Bus is such a small movie and it's so underseen compared to something like Frankenstein, which is a visual marvel and definitely has visual effects moments throughout the film. It's a question, could it pop up with cinematography? There's always this, we talk about this with editing, we talk about this with cinematography, what is that versus what is visual effects? But I'm going to go with these contenders because I think they're films that I think people would want to celebrate more overall as a whole package rather than something like Superman or The Lost Bus. But again, they could be taking a specific look at these films and then nominating them here. It's very possible. But for my purposes, I'm going to go with the movies that are a little bit, we talk about, the repeat nominations. We're going to be talking about it a lot today. I do think sometimes there's a hive mind, and, you're voting not only for the films, because it's the branch voting. And if they really love Frankenstein, then they might just want to vote for Frankenstein because it was one of their favorites of the year. They gave
it 0 nominations. Well,
it's a different branch. It's a different
the Visual Effects Society is a society composed of completely visual effects people who are going to be voting on the nominees here.
Yes, but it's not a one-to-one group.
It's closer than any other. It's closer than the Critics' Choice nomination or anything like that. It's closest to what we could get.
But I'm just look at how Frankenstein overperformed at SAG. Every time we do,
those are the actors.
I understand.
That's not the visual effects.
I get it. But every time we do one of these videos, Frankenstein seems to overperform. It's going to be a Best Picture contender. It's going to be a cinematography contender. Visually, the craft of the film is very strong. I don't understand why then we are going to completely ignore it.
The one complaint people have about it, though, the visual effects.
I haven't heard
fire, the wolves. Really? About the fire explosions or the
But I'm
wolves?
not on Twitter, so maybe I will take the loss on this category because I'm not on Twitter, if that's what it takes.
But even watching the film, don't you think those VFX are not up to par with some of these other movies?
I mean, I don't. It's frankly, I mean, if you honestly want to tell me that Superman had better visual effects, then
no, I agree. That's also ugly, but
So,
that
I
one
mean,
has done very well precursor wise. So I think that will get in. And Lost Bus, just makes sense to me. Having like when I watched the film, I was really shocked by the photoreal VFX and how real the whole environment and fire, which notoriously VFX artists consider the most difficult element, that and water, to portray realistically, and the way they portrayed the fire there. The fact that it got into at the VES nominations, like the main visual effects category, is very impressive, and it got 4 other nominations there. So I feel pretty good about that. And Superman's the one I feel least confident about. But what, like I said, Frankenstein blaking there, I didn't want to put it in there instead. And Wicked one also only got 1 Visual Effects Society nomination, and this new one, Wicked for Good, got 1 as well. But I think the first Wicked got in, even though it did bad precursor-wise with visual effects nominations, because it was strong in Best Picture. I don't think that's the case this time around for this one, and they don't really do anything new visual effects-wise, so that's why I don't think that one will get in.
Yeah, I mean, especially because what would be visual effects they achieved with makeup, which of course we'll be talking about soon, and that definitely was the new elements here. You could be right. I just think again, like the Lost Bus just seems so small, and Superman. Maybe this is my bias showing. You know, it could be.
We both don't like it, so we're on the same page.
But sorry, yes, but I don't know. This is such a. It's such a strange, like, I feel like just this year was like the what they could pull from was a lot smaller. Do you feel that? And so in that regard, I feel like it could surprise us. Like when I was looking at the short list, like the fact that the Electric State is on there is just is proving that, you know, it's I mean, frankly, it's because some of the great big spectacle movies didn't need visual effects. I mean, One Battle After Another doesn't need visual effects in that same way. And so yeah, I think that's also why, because like they just might concentrate around something like Frankenstein. But again, apparently people hate them. This is news to me. That I watched it. I thought it was fine.
0 nominations is very telling to me. That's all I'm gonna say.
My God.
Not a singular one. You're sticking with those 2? Okay. Best of luck.
Hey, we got to give you some category so you can take the lead. Come on.
Exactly. Someone should do a tally by come nomination morning by who did better.
Oh, I'm sure many of the apps that we have these nomination predictions.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Award expert will do that for us. We don't have to do that. Okay, moving along. I think that there's nothing else in contention here. We've covered it all. Next up, makeup and hairstyling, where for the first time we agree on the 5 nominees with Frankenstein, Wicked, The Smashing Machine, Sinners, and One Battle After Another. This just kind of makes the most sense to me, honestly, when I'm looking at alternatives. The only other one I would consider is right here is in our wildcard section, Kokuo, which when you look at the makeup work itself is quite impressive. It has not hit any makeup precursors, but this branch more than any other branch I've noticed like is willing to like ignore a film's quality or relevance to the Best Picture race and just go for something purely based off of like the work. So I think that is in favor of something like Gokuo eventually getting in there. And One Battle, I think, is purely getting in off of 1 Best Picture strength. I think it's going to be so strong. It will get some coattail nominations, and it's also got the Sean Penn prosthetic work later in the film. But apparently the Marty scar makeup, like his acne scar makeup, played well at the bake-off, but I just don't think that is showy enough and something that the branch tends to go for. So I'm just sticking with this 5. This is where I will not be taking any risks.
I mean, we get to the point with One Battle where we have to ask, is it just going to pop up in places like this, like costume design? You know, we have Colleen Atwood, a legend. You know, it could surprise in some of these categories and get it up to that 15 number. That, you know, that would be crazy if Sinners and One Battle both set the record. You know, that would,
one of them will, I think.
Oh yeah, I definitely think Sinners is getting there. It's a question.
It's got a better shot.
Of does One Battle join it? So yes, but I agree. I think makeup and hair is pretty locked up, as is the winner for Frankenstein.
Oh yeah, easy. Costume design, where we agree on 4 again with Frankenstein, Wicked for Good, Sinners, and Hamnet. Then where we disagree is I've got Hedda and you have Marty Supreme. What is drawing you over to Marty over alternatives?
More popular film, it's period, and I do think that I think because you have a range of characters in different socioeconomic classes, it gives the opportunity for different types of costumes, from the Marty Supremes and, his mother played by Fran Drescher. And then you go to like the Gwyneth Paltrow and the Kevin O'Leary characters. So I think it gives a wide range of the era. And I think that's for those reasons, I'm going to think this is a category that Marty can do quite well in.
Yeah, I think there's a world where it sneaks in there like a period piece. Like I think Complete Unknown snuck in there last year as well. Late Timmy release. Part of me is just like with these like top 4 films that we're considering getting double-digit nominations, I don't think that they're going to hit everywhere we expect them to. And this is one place where I think Marty is vulnerable and can miss, especially because precursor-wise, it only has the BAFTA long list mention, whereas Hedda's got the Critics' Choice nomination and the Costume Designer Guild nomination. And there 5 films are the only ones who have gotten that, and those are the 5 that I have. So I guess I technically playing it safe. The top 4 are definitely the safe picks, and then I do think it's either Hedda or Marty. Or do you think there's a world where one battle is just like completely beloved? It's also Colleen Atwood, and it gets costume design somehow.
Yeah, as I said before, I think that is possible. I just struggle, with Marty Supreme. Again, there are a lot of particulars that would make that worthy of the nomination. Yes, it's modern, and sometimes doing modern costumes is harder because it's less flashy. But I do think it's like, other than Leo's, bathrobe, I do think that the costume doesn't, it services the story beautifully, but it doesn't like scream to be recognized individually. And so I do think that's where some of these other contenders could rise. But yeah, so I'm feeling pretty good about Marty, because I also think that we have to remember with Marty is that it's peaking now, maybe not when some of these guilds are voting, a month ago.
I think they probably had access to it.
Yeah, but I think it's different when you know that it's a big hit. I think that definitely helps.
That does help.
It helps the general. You like feeling that you're a part of, a movement of a winning movement.
Hedda just speaks to me as something that this branch would go for, like the period gowns, beautifully well done. But we shall see.
I will grant you are going for films that I think could play well to the individual branches, and I think I'm playing to the overall academy more. Which, granted, the whole academy does not vote for all these individual categories; it is the individual branches. But I think I'm going for a more broader, just what are the films that people are talking about more, and I feel like we might find
that's
between us.
That's a good way to probably, but that's also a good way to probably get the best like accuracy score, if that's what you're going for, to go for that overall.
Because there's a world where maybe like Hedda doesn't get in here, but maybe you're right, the Lost Bus gets for visual effects. So like there's 2 different strategies at play here, and I think the answer lies between them. Or you're just going to win everywhere, or I'm going to win everywhere. It could be. There's so many.
We'll see. I like keeping track of these individual branches, their own nominations within their own like little awards shows, because I do think it speaks to what they might go, because it's only them voting on it, what they might go for. But sometimes they end up being wrong.
Yeah,
we shall see in a few days by the time this video comes out.
May I remind you, this was the award that finally gave the Harry Potter franchise its one and only Oscar. And it was for a fantastic piece, and where to find them.
This is how Downton Abbey, the grand finale, gets its first Oscar win.
Oh, Lord.
Best production design. This is an easy one. This is where no one should take any risks. Frankenstein, Sinners, Marty, Hamnet, Wicked. Don't do anything else. I guess you could say Avatar, because usually the visual effects winners get a production design nomination most of the time. But this has done bad precursor-wise with production design nominations. And like we said, even before like the season kind of started, there's not as much new production design stuff in this as there was in the last few ones. And the new stuff isn't really like the new Fire Ash Clan. It's kind of just like a desolate land, which I don't know how much production design is.
I'm going to ask the expert here. How much of the production design is actual physical
visual effects?
Sets?
Very little. Very little.
Because frankly, and I'm not saying Avatar Fire and Ash is going to get in this category, but I believe Way of Water did, and I believe the first one did.
It did.
The first one, at least,
they both did.
The first one had more physical sets. I just feel like if Way of Water could get in this category, then there is no reason why like animated films can't get into like costume.
No, that's totally fair.
Like it's when that's why I was resistant to this nomination for Way of Water. I was like, are you kidding me? This is like these are styrofoam planks in New Zealand. What are we talking about?
Yeah. James Cameron famously in interviews is like, well, we could like when we do reshoots, we can like rebuild like the set we need for the scene within like 45 minutes. And I'm like, okay, so you're just putting up like blocks and stuff.
Yeah, it's like a play mat for Zoe Saldana.
Yeah.
Frankenstein is definitely winning. Sinners, I mean, I might give it to Sinners because I think the juke joint is like such a tangible, breathing environment.
Even that one like city street with that long tracking shot going from one store to the other was very well done.
Really exceptional work. Marty Supreme again, period, and also globe-trotting location.
Jack Fisk too.
Yeah, and then Hamnet, period.
They built the globe.
They built the globe, and then Wicked for Good actually has a number of different sets in this sequel. I mean, we have Glinda's apartment, you have Elphaba's lair, you have Elphaba's other lair. So she has a lot of layers. And a lot of layers on her.
I knew you were going to say that. Ogres have layers.
It was right there. We should let people know that it is 1 o'clock in the morning where I am.
Not yet. In 5 minutes. In 5 minutes.
Please, heaven forbid. But anyway, yes, I think these are the easy top 5 and deserving top 5 for sure.
I would also throw in the wild card looking at precursors here. Fantastic Four First Steps has an ADG CCA and an SDSA nomination and the BAFTA long list. So that's pretty decent, honestly. I just don't think it's going to be the only nomination for that film to be production design. Yeah, no.
If it was getting visual effects too, then
I don't even like what's a film that got a sole production design nomination. I don't think that's even like a thing, honestly.
Yeah, it'd be weird.
Editing, where once again, like I've been saying, we agree on the 5 here with One Battle After Another, F1, Sinners, Marty, and Hamnet. I guess the wild cards are your Frankenstein if it's super strong, but I don't think it's going to be that strong. And a House of Dynamite, if it had any sort of like the House of Dynamite, when you look at the precursors for editing, is actually doing decent. It's got the CCA nomination and the BAFTA long list nomination, which is more than Hamnet, is more than Frankenstein. But I think once again, it would be weird only editing. Yeah, that would be weird. Yeah. Whereas F1 it won't be in, hypothetically, it could be in picture, but it's getting sound, it's getting VFX, it's getting a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for that to get in there. And then you've got your top 4 in picture also in there.
I mean, exactly. We can move on. That's exactly
that's what makes
that's what's going to happen. Yeah.
I don't really see looking at the other stuff here. Sentimental Value completely blanked with precursors, so I don't think that's going to get in. So yeah, it kind of just makes the most sense for it to be this 5. Cinematography, where we agree on 4 with Sinners, Train Dreams, One Battle After Another, Frankenstein. And then where we disagree is you've got Marty getting in there, or I've got Marty getting in there, and I was reading it wrong. I've got Marty, and you've got Hamnet. My main thing with Hamnet is it missed the ASC nomination and the BSC nomination, what was my thing here? That's pretty rare. It's not impossible when you miss both of those to also end up getting in at the Oscar for cinematography. The few nominations where it did happen was Never Look Away in 2018. Missed both of those nominations and got in. The Hateful Eight missed both and got in. Django Unchained missed both and got in. And Warhorse missed both and got in. But those were, when you look at those cinematographers, Deschanel was a multiple time nominee, kind of a legend in the branch. Richardson was for Hateful Eight, a multiple time, I think like a 3-time winner. Kaminsky for Warhorse is a 2-time winner, multiple time nominee, whereas Lucas Jal is not a winner. He's a previous nominee, but even for a film like Zone of Interest, he ended up missing, and that film performed pretty well on Oscar night, an Oscar nomination morning. So the fact that it missed both of those just kind of has me thinking it probably won't get in there, even though I think it should. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this I remember the year of 2022 where Top Gun misses and Tar gets in. This branch has the capability to surprise. Ultimately I went with Hamnet because I do think that it's a quieter film. I think it's also a naturalistic film. It uses a lot of natural light and exterior shots, and I think that compared to something like Frankenstein and Sinners, and even to a degree Train Dreams, which is these images are very produced and they're very very meticulous and specific with their images and the contrast. I think something like Hamnet, which is a very different approach to cinematography, I think stands out, especially this year. I want to hear your Marty argument because I do think it could get in, but I also think that, to me, I think Marty has consistent cinematography, but there weren't a lot of shots that really made my eyes like fall out of my head, or something. Like I feel like it serves the film,
No, I agree.
but I'm not thinking it's like something that's like worthy of special consideration in this category.
If I were to choose between the two, I agree. I think Hamnet has much stronger cinematography. I just think when I look at how both of them are performing thus far, Marty hit ASC and BSC and the BAFTA long list. And it's when you look, this is all another branch that sometimes goes for names rather than new people. And I do think Darius Kanji is a name within the branch, especially as of late recently. Lucas Shaw is as well, but his most recent Best Picture nominee missed cinematography when he was in contention to get in there. Whereas I think Darius Kanji got in, I forget what was his last film he shot that was in contention here. I forget, but he's done well recently. So that's why I'm leaning that way, even though I do agree Hamnet is much better and showier cinematography, in my opinion. For some reason, it's just not registering with the branch thus far with the precursors for some reason.
I do, but I also do think that because we recognize this, that Hamnet sort of came out and then it went down into a lull, and then it started to pick back up now that it's winning awards. And so I do think
that was just people online hating on it because it had a lot of festival buzz.
Yes, but it wasn't doing well with the critics groups. Like it
no,
didn't do
as
well
as I always said it's more of an industry film than a critics film. It's far too sentimental and emotional for critics to register with it as much as the industry.
So I do think though that helps, because I do think Hamnet has never been higher when it comes to its chance to perform than right now. Right as voting is open.
I agree, especially after the Golden Globe win. Animated feature, I think for like the last 3 years, the animated feature 5 has just felt so locked. I think it continues.
There's also a more concentrated nominees to pick from. I mean, there's not the same breadth.
No, it is. It's true. It's true. So, when your wild card is the latest Demon Slayer film installment, I think that tells you that this 5 looks pretty locked.
Yeah. No, I mean, Demon Slayer did get in at the Globes. It has some precursors.
That's why that's the wild card. Yeah.
If you bring up precursors, that is one. But yeah, I think this is a strong 5. And I'm curious, jumping ahead a little bit, do you think that any, chaos or
K-pop all the way?
K-pop, you don't think the Netflix bias is going to affect it? Okay.
No, I don't see if there was a good alternative, maybe. I just don't. There's no flow. There's no Boy in the Heron this year.
Well, I mean, listen, so Zootopia 2 is going to be the highest grossing movie of the year. I mean, it does have a lot of fans.
No, Neja 2 is the highest grossing film of the year.
Oh, yes, that's right. Well, highest grossing American.
No, I think that'll be Avatar.
You think Avatar will make more than Zootopia 2? It'll be close. It'll be a photo finish.
So. Yeah.
Anyway, you're probably right. It is, and I agree with you that K-pop.
I thought that there could be a surprise dark horse at some point, but I've just kind of accepted it's going to be a K-pop sweep because there's no alternative really. And the Globes would be the place to kick that off, and it didn't happen. So, documentary feature, you have
The Perfect Neighbor, 2,000 meters to Andrivica.
Yeah.
Apologies.
That sounds about right.
Pronunciation. It is now past 1 a.m. Clock it, literally. Mr. Nobody Against Putin, My Unbearable Friends Part 1, and Cover Up.
Those are 5 that I'm all considering. The 6th one I'm considering is, did you mention Apocalypse in the Tropics? That's also what I'm considering.
I did not.
That and also Come See Me in the Good Light. Those are my top 7 here. I'm not going to do Come See Me in the Good Light. The thing is with this branch, the front runner, they almost always snub it. And they also, I forget, like, they just don't like documentaries that like use like footage. I forget the like exact term, but what The Perfect Neighbor does. Like, I guess maybe archival footage is the way you would describe it.
But, I mean, this is a little different than that, just because I think that this is using a method of storytelling that, like, it's not the same thing as archival footage, I feel. Because archival footage to me is this footage was sitting there and it's a feat of editing, where you are taking a method of photography that is not meant for this. I don't know, like that to me is different than like Apollo 11, where they filmed stuff for historical preservation, like compared to like taking body cam footage and actually piecing together this very, real thriller that is just horrifying. And, I think it's worthy of being on this list. And
I agree. I love the film. I
yeah,
just worry because it's the front runner, which this branch usually likes snubbing, and it also has, in a way, archival footage.
Okay, we do have to go back because I do think we have been so traumatized
but it's true every year. Every year they snub the front runner.
I would love if we actually can go back and check because we say this every year, and I tend to want to agree, but I'm also like I also can never remember what I don't know because wasn't last year like no other choice? What not no other choice?
No, we'll get to that next.
What was it? What was the movie that won? It was the Israeli-Palestinian.
Oh, you're right. The land, no other land.
No other land. Thank you. I was like, no other
choice.
No other
Close.
You know, wasn't that the front runner and that won? You know, so I don't think it happens all the time. I really think that 2018 scarred us when Three Identical Strangers and Won't You Be My Neighbor didn't get it.
It's true. It's true. It's more so than the front runner thing. It's the archival thing that has me a little concerned.
But this was also a documentary, I think. But listen, I mean, it was big. There have been other big documentaries that have missed out. I don't know. I feel like, especially, I think we saw last year. I think we're going to see this year. The documentary branch is very aware of current politics, the world we live in. I think they know that these are the films that are really necessary right now, and I think because of that, Perfect Neighbor will get it.
I guess, but then which one do I take out? Because Cover Up is the only one that's hit every precursor of like the IDEA nominations, the Cinema Eye, PGA, BAFTA long list. It's hit all of those. So I feel like that will probably get in there, even though they are usually pretty hesitant to nominate people who have previously won in this category, this branch. But I think that's a pretty strong film. I feel good about Apocalypse in the Tropics, but then how do you feel about My Undesirable Friends? The fact that that's 5 hours long. Do you think that hurts it?
I mean, didn't OJ Made in America, wasn't that like 6 hours long and that won the category?
That's fair.
So
fair.
Clearly they don't have an issue with nominating television miniseries in this category.
Yeah.
I mean, you could take out one because isn't 2,000 Meters to Andrivka, and Mr. Nobody Against Putin, and isn't My Desirable Friends? Aren't they all about the Ukrainian-Russian war?
Yeah, in a way, yeah. I'm pretty sure they all are.
Misses out.
I'm going to keep Perfect Neighbor in there. I'm going to do it. Even though everything in my bones is telling me that I shouldn't, I'm going to do it. Just everything says I shouldn't. Keep an eye on my award expert. Plug award expert in all these categories. That I might make some stupid last minute changes. So, but for now, I'm going to keep it in there. I'm going to do Cover Up, 2,000 Meters to Andravika, Apocalypse in the Tropics, and Mr. Nobody Against Putin. I'm going to get rid of the 5 hour long documentary film that has not hit any precursor, to be fair. Not a single one, but of the major ones, at least in documentary. So that's what I'm going to do.
That seems to be a bigger deal this episode for you than me, not hitting the previous precursor. I guess.
Okay. They help me so much, especially with the specific branches, like getting a vibe. Less in the documentary, just because that branch is hard to predict in general. But with stuff like costume design, makeup, VFX, getting their individual branches nominations, I find helpful.
Move on to a very easy category.
Is it easy? Let's talk about it.
How is this not easy for you?
Neon is not going to get all 5 spots. That's just not going to happen.
I think it could very well happen. This is a very unique year. What they achieved, what they set out to do. All of these movies.
No Other Choice is missing. It's missing.
No,
it's missing. It's the weakest of their 5, and they're not going to get all 5 in there. And Decision to Leave was missed.
Separate Neon from the movies.
But you can't.
For the sake of the argument.
Okay, for the sake of the argument.
Would No Other Choice miss if Searchlight Pictures was behind it? Or Mubi? You really think so?
Yes. It's doing terrible precursor-wise. It's missing like BAFTA long list. It's not as strong as everyone thought it was going to be.
I'm not saying it has to be the strongest because I do. Yes, I agree. There were some people who thought this was a picture contender.
This is part of me feeling vindicated by people who were so like bullish about this being a picture contender, and I was continuously like, no.
But I do think it's in there. So let me just. I think it's Secret Agent. It was just an accident. Sentimental Value. No Other Choice. Seurat. I assume you agree with the 4 of those, and then you're replacing No Other Choice.
I agree with the 4 Neon films that are stronger than No Other Choice, which is Seurat, Secret Agent, It Was Just an Accident, and Sentimental Value. What I'm struggling with is maybe if you want to, your best bet of going 4 for 5 is to just go with the Neon 5. That's probably your best bet. But I do feel pretty good about No Other Choice missing, just because it's doing terrible precursor wise and strength wise, and this branch already showed that they would snub Park Chan Wook with Decision to Leave, which did, I think, better than No Other Choice precursor wise in terms of like international. May not have been, correct me in the comment section, but I don't know which. I'm between Left-Handed Girl and The Voice of Henry Job. I don't know which one to pick. Which one should I pick? Left-Handed Girl has Netflix money behind it. Voice of Henry Job has some big producers behind it, but it's still kind of difficult to see.
Right.
And I do think it is doing a little better precursor-wise here. Let me pull up my little precursor chart, and I'll tell you. Voice of Henry Job has Golden Globe and BAFTA longlist, and Left-Handed Girl has the Critics' Choice Award and BAFTA longlist. So kind of similar. It depends. I think Golden Globe might be a little more important, but neither of them have Academy overlap. So,
or you pick No Other Choice.
Yeah, which does have Critics' Choice, Golden Globe, and BAFTA long list if we're talking precursors. But I see it missing. I'm just on that train. That's just what I'm feeling. That's my vibe pick. Even though the safe pick is to just go with the Neon 5. I just don't think that's gonna happen.
I need to win some categories, so this is fine. This is good. We can.
I just have doubts it's gonna be. But which one do I pick? That's the struggle here. Is it going to be Left-Handed Girl?
Because this is the thing. I do. There are some categories where I would want something to happen, but I can't really change what I know is going to happen. And so I feel like that it's like, as much as I want this to go this way, I can't deny there's no reality where that actually happens. And I feel like this might be that for you. But who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe they snub it. Or
I think they're going to snub it. I just need help picking which one.
I don't like using the word snub, omit. What I'm more curious about is I think there has been a change in who's winning this category. Do you agree?
That's a much more interesting conversation. I still think it is sentimental value, but I think Secret Agent is very close. Well, just when you look at like the actual industry itself, sentimental value got the best BAFTA long list. Secret Agent missed even like Wagner Moore there. It's the only one that got a PGA nomination. I think within the industry, at the moment, sentimental value is doing better, but with stuff like Critics' Choice or Golden Globes, which aren't a part of the industry, they're separate, they're critics, they're journalists, Secret Agent is doing very well and continuing to build buzz to the point where it could upset sentimental value. But at this moment, I still think sentimental value is stronger.
Okay. All right.
I think it'll do much better nominate. Well, I haven't picked my final spot yet.
The nominations are in a week, so you have let's.
But which one? I'm asking you. Which one should I pick? Left-Handed Girl.
Why do I have to pick? I mean, I told you, Voice of Hein Rajab. I apologize for the pronunciation, but it's not my movie. You should pick that one if you're going to pick it. But why am I forced to pick a losing prediction?
I just wanted to hear your thoughts. I'm gonna do Left-Handed Girl.
I told you. Okay, so you're gonna not pick the
I'm gonna do Left-Handed Girl. The one you didn't choose.
So you want to be doubly wrong. You want to be wrong.
Yeah.
The choice.
I do.
Now you don't want to. Okay.
I do, just because of Netflix money. Netflix money, and it's a crowd pleaser.
Let's move on to casting.
Let's move along to casting. So for casting, I've got Sinners, One Battle, Hamnet, and Marty. I feel pretty good about those. And I was looking back at our October predictions video, and I had Weapons in there, and that was pretty kind of early insight, I feel like, because then it got shortlisted, and now I see everyone is putting freaking Weapons in there, including you. So
yes.
Do I just do that?
Yeah, well, because Wicked is not going to get in, I don't think.
No.
Neither is Knives Out.
Knives Out wasn't even longlisted.
Yeah, so but that was like that. Those are the ones that I think when you went out on a limb for Weapons back in October. Those
are the ones you had in there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Weapons. Again, we don't know how they're campaigning for this, but if
they did have a bake-off, but we don't know how it went. But I do think everything surrounding Weapons. I mean, huge ensemble. They had to recast the entire thing.
They didn't tell the story of hey,
they definitely did. They definitely did.
You see those other movies? They were all in this movie, and then they had to go away.
Yeah.
She was going to be in this movie. So yeah, but I also think because it is a movie that technically has like 5 main characters.
Huge ensemble and kids.
It's kids, but it's not just a huge ensemble. You have to cast 5 different movies because of the nature of the structure. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it definitely should be in here. It should be win competitive, to be perfectly honest. I would have it in that top 3 with Sinners and One Battle,
Sinners
which I assume are our top 2. Yes, and I do think Sinners will win. Francine Maisler. I don't know. I feel pretty strongly about weapons, and then that other 4, for casting, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Marty should win, maybe, honestly.
I don't know. I mean, for casting Gwyneth
the casting choices
Mr.
with like
Wonderful.
each that choice is maybe not the best, but unfortunately he did the role that he was cast and he did play quite well.
I'm just the nature of casting the two of them as a couple is like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, who
but
would have
even like down to the smallest
that?
like day players, like each person who comes to that movie is such a like an individual like character themselves.
The guy who says it's not a Marty Average ball, it's a Marty Supreme ball.
Oh yes, he was good too. Yeah. Everyone was quite good in that film. So yeah, that should win, but I think feel pretty good about that. I guess Hamnet could miss, but I'm not going to do that because I think it's top 3. Cast kids who did very good performances. The one I'm considering is Sarat. He should be, but we'll get to that. That won't happen. Sarat, they went to actual like raves and cast actual people from the raves who weren't like actors, and they did a pretty good job.
Have you seen this movie?
I love Sarat. Yeah. Have you seen it?
Well, no, because it hasn't played anywhere.
You need to see it in a theater.
Trying. I've been literally every week. I'm like, no showtimes. I think they did one night only at like something. It was sold out in 2 seconds. I'm like waiting for this movie. I'm like, it's gonna be like mid 2026 when I feel like I'm in Europe. Like, where is the distribution for this movie? I'm
sure it will come out after nominations and more widely.
This movie does not exist for me right now.
Yeah, for most people, honestly. But the fact that it got shortlisted here and at the BAFTA long list for casting is kind of like, that's a good sign. And it's casting like actual raver people who do actual good job. Raver. They're ravers. They're at the raves. So if I were to do a wild card or an alternative, it would be that. And that is the one I would keep an eye out for me potentially putting in there last minute on Award Expert. Or maybe The Secret Agent?
Maybe. Again,
that has a lot of good faces, like distinct faces and characters who pop out. Like the woman, I forget her name, who like houses all of them. Great performance, great character. Her first performance, I feel like I don't think she's acted before. So there's some good arguments. It depends how different the casting branch wants to be, or if they want to go with mostly Best Picture films.
I'm going to go out on a limb though, and I'm going to say this is one of the categories that is going to feel a little bit more domestic. I think it's going to be a little bit more American.
Yes, probably. But I do think maybe casting directors find the challenge of casting people like in Sarat or The Secret Agent more impressive than, say, casting Jesse Buckley and Paul Mescal and Leonardo DiCaprio and Timothée Chalamet and all that.
But I do think like we've talked about the bias that a lot of the acting branch has with international actors. And I think, it's because they don't know their legacy and their body of work as much. I do think that's going to bleed over into casting, which is why I'm going to lean weapons over something like Sarat.
That makes sense. I will agree. We'll have the same vibe there, but Sarat or Secret Agent would be inspired.
You seem so disappointed.
Yeah. Those would be inspired. Who knows? Maybe if they love Jacob Elordi as the monster, they'll pick that. But that's really all the other casting choices in that film, I think, are actually bad. So moving along. Adapted screenplay. Once again, we agree on all 5. This is extremely easy, in my opinion. One Battle, Hamnet, Train Dreams, Frankenstein, Begonia. And then our wild card over there with like a 1% chance is No Other Choice.
All right. So to make this conversation interesting for this category, given how well Hamnet is performing and knowing that PTA is going to win director, do you think there is a similar to Chloe Zhao with Nomadland where it just becomes so known that they're going to win for directing, they go somewhere else for writing?
I think Nomadland, and also you could make the Oppenheimer comparison. I think those films are seen as less writerly than a film like One Battle After Another. I think PTA is for sure.
People view One Battle more as a screenplay achievement than Oppenheimer.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I think, well, yes, I do think those are seen as more as like this is a more of a screenplay writing achievement than, I mean, Nomadland was like hugely more of a directing achievement than a writing achievement. So much of that was probably improv. Could happen. I just kind of think PTA is going to sweep kind of like a Sean Baker or Bong Joon-ho.
And the fact that it's Chloe Zhao and a previous winner, like I do think that if she had not won before, then maybe. But the fact that she's already won, it's like, all right, well then let's just give PTA his flowers.
Down the ballot, yeah, pretty easy category. Less easy, original screenplay. Do we agree? There's an easy top 4 here.
Yes, and this is the hardest call I am making today.
There are a lot of options.
There are two for me.
Sorry, Baby, and Weapons.
No.
Do you think The Secret Agent is going to get in?
I think it could get in there. I'm really
the top four are Sinners. It was just an accidental value, and Marty. We agree on that.
Yeah, and Sinners is winning. Yay, Ryan Coogler.
Yes,
you deserve an Oscar. I think it's very clear how much love he has in that room. Every room he walks in, I think he's going to win. And I'm calling it now. I don't think it's going to happen this year, unfortunately. But I do think Ryan Coogler will be the first African-American to win Best Director. It will happen in the next 10 years.
He would have this year if One Battle didn't come out, but yes.
Yeah, if only Sinners had come out last year, and then maybe we would have been able to stop this whole Honora thing.
Many of these movies would have won last year.
Don't get me started. So here's the thing. Do you agree that Secret Agent is in play to win Best International Feature? Do you think it could win?
Yes, just like I'm Still Here, which did not get a Screenplay nomination.
I understand, but I'm Still Here got a picture nomination, and also got a Best Actor nomination.
And so will The Secret Agent.
But so I'm torn with it not.
Just doesn't seem like a writer movie to me.
But does Weapons seem like a writer movie to you?
Much more than Secret Agent, yeah.
Okay, because I really want to do Weapons. I really want to put Weapons in here.
Well, if you want to look at my little precursor chart here, Weapons would be much better than, well, I mean, both of them have the BAFTA long list, but Weapons has the Critics' Choice nomination, so it has one more.
Okay. I mean, Sorry Baby could also get in. I do think Julia Roberts giving that little shout out was, that's an Andrea Riseborough moment if you ever saw one.
It fits this branch's taste, I feel like, and there's usually like a solo screenplay nomination.
I also think that, to my knowledge, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ava Victor is likely going to win the DGA Best First Feature.
Yes, for sure.
So there is cross-branch support for that film. So maybe it is Sorry Baby. But I mean, I would love Weapons to get in. I do think that is a feat of the script. And
if Weapons gets screenplay, casting, and supporting actress, it might get Best Picture.
Well, we'll get to that, surely.
But if you have it in Best Picture, I would think you should have it in Best Screenplay, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, because I also do think that Sorry Baby could be like The Farewell, where it is that much beloved A24 movie, but that just doesn't creep in. Because like May, December, which did surprise us in, I don't know if it was this or adapted, but it surprised us.
It was original.
Okay. Well, it did surprise us. That had some like other...
It was in contention throughout the season for other stuff.
Yeah. I forgot. I was like, did Julianne Moore not end up getting as...
No acting nominees. Insane.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was
my hope fiction that year. I still predicted Charles Melton down to the very last minute. It was Marion Jean-Baptiste last year. I don't know what it is this year. We'll find out.
Yeah, I do think that ultimately, like, Sorry Baby, like it's going to be right on the cusp. But I do think Weapons is a little bit showier. It has other nominations that could bolster it.
It's stronger overall.
Yeah,
for sure. It got a PGA nomination.
I want it to happen, so I'm going to put Weapons. Thank you for talking.
So we agree. We're 5 for 5. Okay. I do think the ones to consider are Sorry Baby and The Secret Agent. Mm-hmm. But Secret Agent just doesn't seem like something that would get screenplay to me, even if it does get into Best Picture. And Sorry Baby, I agree, it might just be too small. Weapons has shown that it's a stronger film overall. Okay. So it kind of makes sense, but I'm not confident in that.
Let's ease through this next one, shall we?
This next one, easy peasy, unfortunately. Easy race with Stellan, Skarsgård, Jacob Elordi, Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, and Paul Mescal. I just don't see anything else happening. Your wild cards are Delroy Lindo, maybe, but he's done pretty bad, and Adam Sandler's done like even worse precursor-wise.
And Delroy is now splitting with Miles Caton, who got the actor award nomination.
The SAG nomination, yes.
So, yes, I mean...
Is there anything to say?
I think really the interesting thing is the win, because I do think that top three could all win.
I agree. I'm leaning Skarsgård right now, but I think Elordi is going to win SAG. If Skarsgård doesn't win the BAFTA, then I don't know what will happen, honestly. Then I'll probably just do Elordi. But I don't know who would win the BAFTA. Like Mescal? I don't know. Probably not.
He's good, and he surprises you in the second half of the film.
He's my favorite of the people here for sure. But
you know who should be here?
Jacoby Jupe, who you think is better in the film. Yes, he should be here. I
Well,
agree.
it's hard to say better. They're both brilliant, but I do think that
Mhm.
the movie rests on that performance, and
It does.
he is
It's the titular role.
so good. Yes, so the fact that he's not here, I listen. I love One Battle After Another. There should be 2 Hamlet actors in here, not 2 One Battle actors. Is all I'm saying.
I agree. Which one would you kick out?
It's tough because I want to rewatch it because I mean Sean Penn has such a force in that film that the whole movie hinges on, but Benicio is like
It's so actorly to me. I love
such
Benicio.
A like just pristine supporting performance. So it's tough. I mean, it was. I don't know about you. I feel like this year there are like 10 names I could put in all of these categories. I think it's been a really strong year for the performances.
Yeah, I agree. But I would kick out Sean Penn. I don't know who I would put in.
Jacoby Jupe.
Yeah.
Or Dylan O'Brien in Twinless. I thought was
that's a lead
phenomenal.
Performance.
That would be put in supporting. You know it would.
It would be, just like Stellan Skarsgård is lead.
So. Exactly. Let's get into the most interesting actor discussion, which is supporting actress.
Yeah, probably. We agree on 4 of them still, with Tiana Taylor, Amy Madigan, Wunmi Mosaku, and Odessa Zion.
We basically agree on 5. I mean,
I just don't know why you're of the sentimental value girls. I'm going with Inga Ibsdottir Lilias, and you're going with Elle Fanning. First, you have to tell the Grande Wicked stans who have had support with you the whole season why she's not on your list anymore, and then why Elle Fanning, who missed the BAFTA long list, is.
Because BAFTA long list is not set in stone. I mean, didn't Penelope Cruz and Kristen Stewart both miss the BAFTA long list that year, then managed to get on to the Best Actress at the Oscars? I mean, like it does happen.
Yes, but they didn't have someone who was in their film who was doing much stronger than them.
Yes, I mean, listen, there is a world where both of them miss, both sentimental value actors miss,
and it's Grande.
And then it could be Grande, or I mean, we could see Gwyneth Paltrow surprise.
Oh, maybe. Do you think she pulls a Katrina Balfe / Judi Dench? She takes a Zion spot?
I don't know if she takes a Zion spot. Again, I feel like if Gwyneth gets in, it could be on the coattails, and we have 2 Marty actors instead of 2 sentimental actors. I just think ultimately I'm going to lean Elle because I think I don't know, it's very cruel to see her miss out on
it is cruel.
To her co-star twice in a row.
It is. It sucks.
But I also think that she represents a different energy to that film than the other 3 actors, because the other 3 are just so mopey and sad, and and she is just a little bit more fun. But I also think there's a pivotal scene in the second half of the film, in the wake of the film, that is the movie for me, at least, like that journey that she takes in that scene. So I think given how much notoriety she's had in the past year, she continues to put out good work. She is representing a different flavor in that film. And I think she just is more well known to the acting branch overall. I think that's why I'm going to lean her. I've never bought into this. And again, I have to rewatch the film, but I've never bought in.
She's the best performance in the film, Inga.
Yeah,
you want to talk about emotional weight? That's insane. It's like Inga, then everyone else close together. In my opinion, she just
and then Inga.
That's rewatch the movie. That's insane. I feel like most people who see the film lately. I was kind of early on the train, shout out to me, when I first saw it at TIFF, but most people when they see it lately seem to be saying Inga is like their standout of the 4.
I gotta rewatch
I also just think she's a surprise. Like, all these other actors, she's a surprise. She pops up and she steals the movie, in my opinion. And if we're talking about emotional importance, I think she's the heart of that family and the film. And I think the most important scene of the film is between her and Renata at the end. And she's killer in it. I
mean, I don't know. I think, listen, it has so many great scenes. I think it's hard to say which one is the best. Yeah. But the other thing, again, this is how I responded to it the first time. I just feel like she's the least active agent in the story. Like, of course, Stellan and Elle are important people who are moving that story forward because of what they're doing. And then
I think she's quietly the most important character in the entire film.
Listen,
she's holding that whole family together.
If she gets in, it's not going to be an undeserving performance. She is remarkable. I'm just saying that I think the Academy acting branch, which is out of all the branches, I think the least international as far as what they tend to nominate. I think that's how Elle will benefit in this regard. something's telling me it's about time. It's like she's been around. I just don't want to imagine the reality.
Part of this feels like a pity prediction to me, where it's like I can't.
Well, because to be perfectly honest, I kind of don't want to predict them both, but I also don't feel that strong in Ariana. So like I don't. It feels.
Well, then you should just predict Inga.
I mean, I kind of want to like go out of like if only Regina Hall like had 2 more scenes in one battle after another, and then I could predict her. But I don't think that's going to happen. Emily Blunt, I am not entertaining the reality where that happens. You know.
No.
And so
not
then it's like,
Dwayne.
What I do Gwyneth or
Emily
Ariana.
Watson is the only other person maybe for Hamnet if Hamnet.
I mean, I think I would nominate Emily Watson personally.
She'll get the BAFTA, I think. And I think Inga will win the BAFTA, so I think it's kind of crazy to not have her nominated. She's kind of like Kerry Condon.
Maybe it's Inga. Maybe you're right. I just, oh God, I feel so bad for Elle.
I feel bad too, but I'm not going to predict her just because I feel bad for her.
Or wait, maybe they put Chase Infinity in this category, and then they have room for Kate Hudson in Best Actress. There we go. Now we're playing Tetris.
You want Kate Hudson in Best Actress?
Well, it was a good performance. I'm just saying that she's somebody who I think people would see. I mean, personally, if this was my list, what's her name from Materialist would be in here for sure. Let me look.
From Zoe Winters, yeah.
Yes, thank you. I would have her here for sure. So anyway, I digress. I think though the top 2 are definitely in. I think Wumi is very strong, and I think after the SAG nomination,
she'll get BAFTA. She'll hit SAG. She's hitting everything.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, part of me just I don't know. She'll get in.
And then Odessa off of the strong. It's the Monica Barbaro.
She's Monica. She's got BAFTA longlist and Monica didn't, so she's already doing better.
Yeah. And do we both think Teyana's winning?
Yes, I think the Golden Globes kind of. I thought I compare Amy Madigan to Angela Bassett for Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Early veteran, not Best Picture narrative win, but the one who's in the Best Picture winner, supporting actress, will win. So
we'll get to that.
That's what I think.
Anyway, we seem to have a similar pick for number 5.
Similar.
It's just a question.
You're just manifesting for Elle Fanning.
I don't know. I feel so bad.
Moving along. We agree once again on the top 5 here with Leo, Timmy Chalamet, Michael B. Jordan, Wagner Moura, and Ethan Hawke. There is at least, I think there's 2 very compelling wild cards with Jesse Plemons, Angela Edgerton. I do think Plemons is the more compelling one of the 2, just because I do think Begonia is pretty safely in Best Picture. He got the SAG nomination. He got the BAFTA long list. I think maybe he got Critics' Choice. I forget. I'll have to pull up my spreadsheet here. But he's a compelling case. I just don't know who to take out. I guess Hawke is the most compelling person to take out.
He got in at the SAG. I think that kind of solidified him for me, at least.
He's going to hit every precursor, yeah.
And you still are not on the Timmy train?
I'm just waiting to. If Leo wins one of BAFTA or SAG, he is winning the Oscar. But if Timmy wins both of those and Leo isn't, if like someone else can win the SAG or BAFTA who isn't Leo, and I would stick with Timmy. But if Leo wins either of those, he will.
Do you really think with the love and the enthusiasm people have for Marty Supreme, and this being the only place it could feasibly win, that they're not going to give it to me because of that? Like,
there are many great films that they love, that Banshees, that go home with nothing, because a film like Everything Everywhere, like One Battle, is so strong it sweeps in those categories instead.
Yes, but the reason why Tar didn't win where it should have won is because Michelle Yeoh that was going to be her first Oscar, and Kate had already had 2. Leo,
I don't think that's why she won, though. I think it was more because everything. I think it was a down the ballot vote for.
Yes, but Kate Blanchett made it very clear that she did not need to win that year, and was kind of propping up every other actor she could find.
Leo's campaigning.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Leo is hurt in that he is not the performance that the fact that he is not the performance that everybody's coming out raving about. Like, they're talking about Teyana, they're talking about Benicio. I think that hurts him, where Timmy is definitely at the center of why Marty Supreme is working so well. So
he's definitely the definitive lead, which helps him a lot. There was one stat regarding Jesse Plemons here. There are 12 actors who have hit the Golden Globe nomination, the SAG nomination, the BAFTA long list nomination, and their films also got a PGA nomination. And of those 12, 11 of them were eventually nominated at the Oscars.
I mean,
so
do we
kick out Moura?
I mean, we could, like, is he set in stone? I feel like people think he's set in stone.
He missed SAG and the BAFTA long list. That's bad.
Yeah, I feel like people want him to get in, but that doesn't.
He did win the Golden Globe right before voting. That helps.
Yeah, that could be your surprise.
Oh, here's
Clemens
another stat.
for Mora.
Since 2010, 57 actors have hit the precursor of only getting the Golden Globe nomination. 2 of them were nominated. Whereas 11 for 12 with Clemens.
These are a lot of numbers.
There are a lot of numbers, and they're helpful sometimes and not helpful. If I'm going to pick one out, it will be Mora, but I'm not going to do that at the present moment. But keep an eye out on my profile to maybe eventually do that, because Begonia is safer in picture than The Secret Agent, I would say. And Clemens is a previous nominee.
But also Mora is the secret agent. He is the main character.
And don't you think it's kind of weird if Begonia, we'll get to it next category, Emma Stone gets in, but Jesse Plemons doesn't?
Is it
I feel like it's a two-hander.
Weirder than Barbie getting America Ferrera?
It is weirder than that.
And not getting Margot
It is
Robbie.
weirder than that, because I think Jesse Plemons is showier than Emma Stone, whereas I think Gosling and America Ferrera are showier than Robbie.
But I think the character of Emma Stone goes on a more dynamic journey than Jesse Plemons. Jesse Plemons' character is not a character that you end up like. It's a very like he's fantastic, but it's a character that, like the sentiment you feel for him is I don't know. It's a different
potential winner here is a terrible character. So
it's different. It's different.
It is different. I agree.
It's more. It's you don't feel sad for him, but you also it's not like, but you do pity him. It's like a pity. It's
for Jesse Plemons or Timmy
Plemons. I don't pity.
Okay, yes.
Marty
no, I agree.
Supreme. Are you kidding me?
I freaking hate Marty. Yeah. I'm considering it, especially because we agree, which we'll get into 5 for 5 in the 4 acting categories, and the one that we disagreed on, that we had 4 in common. I just don't think the acting categories are going to be that simple. But in Best Actress, we have Jessie Buckley, Rose Byrne, Emma Stone, Renata Reinsve, and Chase Infinity. I think the one wild card you can look out for taking other spots is Kate Hudson. Editing Jack from the future here, I am taking out Chase Infinity and putting in Kate Hudson. I'm getting too many Annette Bening Naiad flashbacks, and I need to do something different from everyone else in these acting categories. So she's just reminding me of Annette Bening and Naiad.
She reminds me of Kathy Bates and Richard Jewell. Is what she reminds me of.
Maybe, but even then, Kathy Bates didn't hit any precursors, and Hudson has multiple. She's got.
I know, but that sort of actor, of like getting in there with that sort of movie.
But who do you take out? You take out Renata or Chase. I think the other 3 are safe.
You would take out Chase. If you're going to take something out, you take out Chase.
Could you take out Renata though?
I really think. I mean, if you're going to call some crazy stuff because that's what something crazy is going to happen. I would not put it past them to put Chase in supporting and then Kate's in lead. I think that is a 2% chance of happening.
Do you think Chase will be hurt by some people putting her in supporting?
I don't know. They've been very clear with her being in lead. And she's a discovery, and I think that she could. I still feel strongly about her. And I do think Song Sung Blue is just a little bit too movie of the week. Like it's not like big enough.
It made a lot of money compared to some of these other films.
Yeah, but I mean, are you really going to take the top 3 out?
No, those 3 are safe. It would be Renata or Chase that I take out.
Yeah, I think they're good. I ultimately think this is your 5, but if Kate gets in, I'm not going to be surprised.
I think there's something in my head where it's Annette Bening and Naiad. Everyone had the same 5 that year, and Annette Bening, off of similar precursor run, similar kind of performance in a way, just sneaks in there. I know Annette Bening is much more of a veteran within the Academy than Hudson is, but I don't know. I think, especially because Sentimental Value, is it going to get 3 acting nominations where it got blanked at the SAG Awards? It's the same branch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, I think the Academy Acting branch is more international.
Very different. Smaller, for sure. Moving along to a category I think a lot of us have our aneurysms over. Best Director. We agree on 4. PTA, One Battle After Another, Ryan Coogler, Sinners, Chloe Zhao, Hamnet, Josh Safdie, Marty Supreme. I'm going with Joaquin Trier for Sentimental Value. You're going with Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident. I just feel like It Was Just an Accident is doing terribly these last few weeks. I just don't see a world. It didn't, just earlier today, the EFA Awards, I don't think it won a single thing, whereas Sentimental Value did great, won Best Director. I just think that film in general has not shown nearly as many faults as It Was Just an Accident has. I just don't. I honestly, unfortunately, even though I thought there was a world where he was like number 2 or 3 before, I don't see Jafar Panahi getting in regardless. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it is. It's a competitive year. I do think that. I mean, the other nominee that's in contention that wouldn't surprise me is Guillermo del Toro. Has a lot of support. Ultimately, I do think that similarly to what happened the year of 2022, where Ruben Östlund gets in for Triangle of Sadness, despite Edward Berger being the movie that did better.
Do you know what
overall.
he got though? He got the BAFTA Longlist nomination and the BAFTA nomination, and he was nominated at the EFAs.
I'm just saying.
But these are important to look at.
I understand, but also there are always what Jafar Panahi's story is getting here is so unique that to put him against a normal traditional background would be foolish. And yes, you're right, it could pan out that way, but I do think that there are years where the individual is more worthy of consideration from a branch that definitely pays attention, I think, to the filmmaker rather than the film. I feel like they are more aware of the director. It's kind of similar to the music branch in that regard, except they're not as insular as I feel the music branch is. But that's how, like, Sentimental Value could do better overall. But I do think Jafar Panahi is a person they want to award with a nomination, which is why I do think the movie. Listen, we have to. It kind of feels like, yes, it's not winning as much as we thought it would, but it is going to get into picture. It is going to get into screenplay.
Is it?
Yeah. You think it's going to miss those two categories?
No, screenplay I think it's fine for. Picture I think it's really iffy.
Yeah, I think it's going to get into both of those, and at that point, I just think it has overall strength when it comes to like the big aspects of the film,
but not compared to the other options. Like in particular, I feel like Trier is just safe. I mean, he's going to hit every precursor besides the DGA. If they're going to go for a Cannes film, it's clearly the strongest one. They're usually, if there is a Cannes film that's in Best Picture, they usually end up in Best Director. There's a lot of those as Secret Agent, It Was Just an Accident, and Sentimental Value. Sentimental Value is clearly the strongest amongst those, and also with Director, it's the only one of those three that is at the BAFTA long list for Director.
I don't know. It's Sentimental Value. Just to me feels like a film that people admire. Like it feels more like a screenplay film. I feel like Jafar Panahi's achievements with the long takes, with just the physical, muscular act of making the movie given the circumstances. I just think there are more directorial notes within that film, where Sentimental Value, I think, is an actor's film. It's a writer's film. It reminds me of Marriage Story, which, of course, Noah Baumbach did not get nominated for director that year. So that's how I'm leaning. Again, Sentimental Value is a strong competitor, as is Frankenstein. I mean, Frankenstein continues to surprise, so we'll see. But maybe this is my hope prediction, because I do think that I would love an Iranian film to actually get into director. And after last year with See the Sacred Fig, I'm hoping that maybe this can build some momentum and get Panahi in there in that fifth spot. I do think, though, that Joss Safdie, because we were having him on the outside looking in.
He's iffy. I still think he's iffy.
Do you think there's a world where Trier and Panahi get in and Safdie misses?
I think that kind of reminds me of speaking of another year, 2023, where I think it was Payne and Gerwig who got in at the DGA, and then you take both of those out for two international Cannes films with Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall. But both of those are much stronger. Both of those got PGA nominations. Neither Sentimental Value did get a PGA nomination. It Was Just Accident did not. So I do think Sentimental Value is just the stronger film overall. There's also, I mean, this is kind of like reading tea leaves, but they do those articles every year of directors saying their favorite films of the year. And Sentimental Value, I mean, that's the branch that's going to be voting on this category. And Sentimental Value got the second most mentions after One Battle.
Yeah.
So
I think I think it's a question of, are they voting for the individual or are they voting for the film? If they're voting for the film, I think you're right. Sentimental Value gets in. If they're voting for the individual, I think there's more reason to vote for Panahi. So
I agree with that. I just wonder why that hasn't happened yet and why it's going to suddenly happen now.
Well, I do think the Oscars would be the best place for this film to perform. No, were you expecting it to overperform or?
Well, I mean, it did not do great at the European Film Awards, which is, you think this would do good there. You would think the only places it's done well are places where it's like a jury. like the Gotham Awards, which is a jury of 5 people, or the Cannes Film Festival, which is a jury of like a dozen people. Yeah. It's not done well with larger voting bodies like Critics' Choice, the SAG Awards, the PGA Awards, larger voting bodies, not smaller groups of people. And this is going to be a larger voting body voting on it.
Okay. Again, your points are not invalid. I just disagree.
No, and I agree. I could see. Well, honestly, I would like to see Panahi in there. I honestly don't see it happening, but I would love to see it happen. And Del Toro, I think, kind of his plausible still, maybe, but the fact that he wasn't BAFTA longlisted, I think, kind of made me feel good enough about leaving him off. But I don't feel confident in this at all. But that's the 5 I'm going to feel the most confident in at the end of the day. So that's director. And then our final category, Best Picture, we have, we agree on 9 of the films here. We agree on One Battle After Another. We agree on Sinners. We agree on Hamnet, Frankenstein, Marty, Sentimental Value, Begonia, and The Secret Agent, and It Was Just an Accident. Both of us have those 9. Mm-hmm. What you don't have somehow, for some reason, is Train Dreams. I have Train Dreams in there. I think that's like number 8 at least. I think that is close to locked in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And you also have Weapons, which I'm really considering. Really considering.
Here's the thing. We sat here saying, "Oh, Sing Sing definitely going to get nominated throughout the year since its August release."
But
Sing Sing
Train Dreams has hit all the stuff Sing Sing missed.
I'm aware. Let me make my point.
Okay. Yes.
And then Sing Sing misses out because it's a smaller film. It doesn't have a lot of these other branches taking other consideration for it. And it fell through, for something flashier like Nickel Boys in that case. Yes, I know Train Dreams is doing well. It got the PGA, which Sing Sing did not. But here's the thing.
Has Netflix money behind it, not A24 money.
I'm aware. And it could be winning cinematography. That's a race. I'm not, if Train Dreams gets in, I'm not going to be shocked. But here's the thing.
I just don't think that's the one to take out, but go ahead.
I think Joel Edgerton should be getting nominated for that movie to be in picture. The idea that you would have that movie in picture and he doesn't come along for the ride is something is ringing some alarm bells for me. Especially when you have people like Wagner Moura and Ethan Hawke getting in. And then you have Joel Edgerton.
Just a competitive category.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that competitive if you're in picture. If Coleman Domingo could get in for Sing Sing and that movie misses picture,
less competitive, more showy, bigger name.
But again, like Wagner Moura, Ethan Hawke, they're great performances. But Joel Edgerton is good too.
He's great.
Why would he not come along with the movie getting in for picture? That is
it's not as much of an actor's film as Sing Sing is. Sing Sing is an actor's film. That's why the acting branch votes for him.
I'll grant you that, but it doesn't. I personally, and you can maybe chalk this up to just the strength of the Brazilian voting body. I personally think that the idea that Train Dreams gets in for picture, then it should be DiCaprio, Chalamet, Jordan, Hawke, Edgerton. That should be your 5.
But Begonia is also in picture, and neither of us have Plemons in there.
Yes, but we have Emma Stone, and she is the prime mover of that movie, the way that Joel Edgerton is the prime mover.
I don't think so. I think Jesse Plemons, screen time wise, I think Jesse Plemons, they're co-leads, but I think Jesse Plemons is the lead character of that film.
Yes, but you could make that argument, but I do think for now until the end of time, it's Yorgos and Emma. That's your power couple. That's who you're like. If it's a Yorgos movie, then Emma's the recipient.
Emma's getting in because she's in a less competitive category, which is the same thing you can say with Coleman Domingo making it in over Joel Edgerton.
I just something feels wrong about Joel Edgerton not getting it. I don't know, and you could be right. Maybe he gets in. I just feel that's the reason why I'm not putting this in. It feels like a small movie that can't even get its most essential parts nominated. Compared to Weapons, which is win competitive in an above the line category. We both think it's getting into screenplay, and we think it's getting into casting. I think it's showing strength. It got the PGA nom. I mean, I'm taking out one PGA nom and putting in another, so it's not sacrilegious.
No, that's just not the one you should take out. I don't want to speak directly on it, but I work at a movie theater that hosts a lot of, in particular, Netflix industry guild screenings, and the one film that is getting the strongest reaction leaving out of it, everyone after every screening I hear at least someone say that's my favorite film of the year. Train Dreams. The issue is visibility, and Netflix is making it visible. It's a passion pick. I feel fine. The fact that it got PGA makes me feel very good.
So what's your 10? Is your 10 it was just an accident?
It is, but I don't feel great about that at all. If I were to take one out for weapons, it would be that.
Okay, because maybe that happens. Because I mean, that would mean that Neon gets 2, which is feasible.
Especially given the way that international films have been underperforming within the industry lately with SAG and BAFTA and all that, I think it is still notable to have 3 international films still getting in at the Oscars, all from the same studio.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe that's it. I do. I'm feeling bullet, and I want to toot my horn. I predicted Weapons before PGA put it in because I was just. We need some bigger movies. We need some movies with scale and scope, and Weapons has that. And I just think it's exciting. It's original, and I think it will get in. And I think it's only going to be helped that Amy Madigan is win competitive. And I think if Weapons gets into picture, then that definitely helps her in supporting actress. Again, maybe you're right with Train Dreams. I'm getting this. There's always that one movie, like The Farewell, like Sing Sing. It's like people love it. It's a crowd pleaser. Nobody has a bad word against it, but it's a little too small to get in. And the other nominations
perform as well, though, as Train Dreams has, precursor-wise. They had those films didn't get PGA. They didn't.
I understand. And it is rare for a movie like Train Dreams to get PGA, so it could.
It's a very good sign.
It could get in, but we need some things that are going to surprise us. And
I agree. I just think if you want to do that, you should take out It Was Just an Accident and not.
But that's not a surprise. I'm talking. There is always something that makes your mouth drop, and that would be this. It Was Just an Accident missing would not make us surprised. That would be like,
at this point, no. A month ago it would have, but
we need our Charles Melton moment. This would be
that will happen somewhere else. Somewhere else. I don't think that will happen. I know that's the crazy thing. I just don't think it will be in picture. I don't know where it will be, but I feel fine about Train Dreams. But and also F1. Should we talk about that? That got PGA. There's a world where that's like 4B Ferrari, where it gets editing, sound.
4B Ferrari had class. I think F1 is a commercial.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I do think it's worth considering though.
Yeah. But I do think it's funny though, because if I do, QRST. So Train Dreams and or Weapons would be the last film mentioned of this group. Alphabetically. So I do think the last thing they announced could be the surprise. It could be like when Whiplash got the nomination. We were like, whoa. So I'm feeling good about Weapons. Maybe you're right that I picked the wrong one to come out. Again, you can say it's a competitive category, but I just don't. Something feels wrong about the idea that Ethan Hawke gets in for a movie not in Best Picture. Meanwhile, Train Dreams gets in and Joel Edgerton doesn't come along for the ride, and he's the lead character. Has like all the screen time in that movie. I don't know. There's a long.
You can say that about so many movies that end up in Best Picture, though. Like, why did Annette Bening get in over Greta Lee when Past Lives was in Best Picture? That's the first one that comes to mind. But there's dozens of examples of like the lead actors in the film missing.
I think when, I mean, you make that's a fair argument. I don't know. I think Past Lives was a two-hander.
That's just an example. But I do think there's multiple examples of the lead actor missing.
But I mean, you're right. I mean, Annette Bening and Ethan Hawke are in a similar position. Both never won before. That's a good comp. I don't know. I'm feeling my gut.
I agree with the gut take that Weapons is very competitive to sneak in here. I think either take out Secret Agent or It Was Just an Accident before Train Dreams.
I would prefer. I want to be clear. I like Train Dreams. I would prefer to take out Secret Agent to make room for both. But
the Brazilians are going to come after you. Don't say that.
Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm probably just going to stick with It Was Just an Accident in my 10th spot, but the one I am really considering is Weapons. 3 Warner Brothers films kind of makes more sense than 3 international neon films. That's the other thing. Like, are we going to have, do you have multiple studios getting 3 nominations in Best Picture right now? It's rare for one studio to get 2, let alone 3. To have multiple studios getting 3 is kind of a lot.
So hang on. So you have to make a call. Are you actually going to put Weapons in and take out It Was Just an Accident?
For now, I'm going to keep It Was Just an Accident there, just because the last few years, that last spot has been a passion pick. I think, like a Past Lives, like a Women Talking, like a Nickel Boys, usually getting off of just screenplay in most of those cases. And I think It Was Just an Accident, especially not to bring out, but like recent news in Iran, I do think that will be a passion pick that I feel fine enough about putting it there in that last spot and doing similar with just screenplay, international in this case, and picture. Kind of like Women Talking or Past Lives or Nickel Boys, which weren't international, but same package. For now, that's what I'm leaning towards. And you're keeping those 10? You're keeping multiple studios getting 3 nominations in picture.
There's got to be something. I mean, because listen, I do think that when you look at these two studios, Neon did something unprecedented this year, and
it's falling apart.
Changed the game. We'll see if it falls apart. I mean, and then Warner Brothers had maybe one of the best years in, the last 25 years. So if they both got 3, it would not be that shocking, especially because you look at what's not here, which is Searchlight. It's
an unprecedented year for Searchlight. Also, Universal usually has a film in there. There are studios who usually aren't here who aren't.
So I mean, that could speak to and I mean, like Disney didn't show up with Avatar. There's reasons why other studios overperformed. They had better slates. And so I think right now, I hear you on the Train Dreams, but I also feel very strongly about Weapons, and I just think
take something else out
more.
But yes, I agree with the Weapons part. I'm really considering that too. I'm right now. Honestly, if I were to take one out, I might do Secret Agent before it was just an accident. But it would be one of those two, not Train Dreams.
Okay.
But maybe the Secret Agent stuff recently has been a mirage. Who knows?
Maybe.
But we'll see. We agree on 9 there. So those are our best picture predictions. That's pretty much everything, unless you also want to talk about the shorts categories, where I'll quickly say what I am predicting in each category. These are make or break, unfortunately, for your Oscar predictions in terms of how well you do. They're hard to predict. I looked and read about each of the nominees. I won't go into a ton of detail, but this is after reading all of them and knowing what they tend to go for in these categories, what I ended up with. Documentary short, I have All the Empty Rooms, Armed with a Camera, the life and death of Brent Renaud. I have All the Walls Came Down, We Were the Scenery, and The Devil is Busy. Those are the ones I'm going with. I do think All the Empty Rooms is the easy winner here. That is a film that is going into the empty rooms, the often untouched empty rooms of children who have died in U.S. school shootings. I think it's very, very, from what I've heard of, it's also on Netflix, a very, very moving film. I feel good about that. We Were the Scenery is one that lots of people don't have, but I think that is more of a upbeat kind of film that kind of stands out in this category. And Rovina's Choice is the only one I would kind of consider, just because that's also topical, talking about the food benefits being cut, very topical recently in America, and a mom having to choose between healthcare or food for separate kids. So that's where I'm leaning as my 5 there. Animated short, Butterfly, Snow Bear, Iru, Forever Green, and I guess for that last spot, I'll do I Died in Irpin. I don't really have explanations for a lot of this. Some of these are from like studios or previous, like Snow Bear is animated by the guy who did Brother Bear, self-financed and made it himself over the last 3 years. It's a cute short about a snow bear trying to find friends. Stuff like Forever Green, also by previous Disney employees making their own film. So is Cardboard, I believe, kind of more of like a Pixar, kind of reminds me of old Pixar style shorts. That's also one I would consider. One that lots of people have in there is Playing God, which is more of a like body horror claymation style short. I'm considering it. It looks disturbing, but maybe, I don't know. Sometimes they do weird stuff in this category. But I Died in Irpin is one I'm usually have one more like topical kind of one, and that is the one I'm leaning towards. Butterfly is also kind of that. It's about a swimmer who survived, who swam at the Olympics before and after the Holocaust. So that's why I'm leaning on that category. And then lastly, live action short. I've got rock, paper, scissors, 2 people exchanging saliva, Dad's Not Home, Beyond Silence, and The Butcher's Stain. No shorts have like huge names as they have in past years. There's no like huge ones. There is one that has, what's her name, Miriam Margolyes from the Harry Potter films. She's starring in one of them.
Miriam Margolyes?
Yes, her. She's starring in one of them, but the logline in that film didn't really stand out to me. I know lots of people are predicting it. Rock, paper, scissors, very timely about the Ukrainian conflict. 2 people exchanging saliva has the title benefit of this title that definitely sticks out, and it's also it's, from what I read, one of the more like resonant films. Dad's Not Home is one I want to watch. It's pretty much about 2 young boys who, after their mom dies and their dad has dementia, they kind of have to hide the fact that their dad has dementia so they don't end up in foster care and get separated. From what I've read, it seems very emotional, and the two kids give a good performance. Beyond Silence is, I believe, about a woman speaking about an assault situation, but she is deaf, so it's a sign language conversation. And then the last one, Butcher Stain, is about a, I believe, a Palestinian worker at a like Israeli, I think it's like a butcher shop or something, and he gets accused of taking down posters of Hamas, stuff like that. Timely is what I would say with that one. So those are the 5 I'm going with there. Some people are, there's this one about a school shooting called Adieu. From what I've read, that one's kind of very on the nose, but they sometimes tend to nominate the on the nose bad films in these categories. So I would keep an eye out on that one too. So those are my short predictions. Anthony, are you just going with the top 5 in these categories?
I think what you said, it's so funny. What you said is exactly what I was thinking.
Really?
Yeah.
Given how this entire video went beforehand, I feel like that's not true. What do you mean? Just completely be
in every single category.
We did agree on a lot of them.
The fact that the biggest disagreement we had was visual effects. Do you understand that?
That was the biggest disagreement we had. That's what I'm worried about. Just at the end of this video, there's far too much agreement going on in predictions overall for everyone. Maybe it will just be a predictable year, but there's going to be some surprises. And one of them will be Lost Bus and visual effects, but I don't think that's going to be a surprise anymore. Final thoughts as we end our final Oscar nomination predictions.
No, it just I'm glad we get to do this another year. It's definitely a lot of fun, and definitely I think this is going to be the more exciting thing, how many we can get, because I think by the time we get to the winners, I mean, we could predict the winners now. I feel like it's one of those years. Have like a race like supporting actress where it's like Tiana Taylor versus Amy Madigan. It's like, I mean, can you split the award in half? I mean, both of you were.
And give it to Inga.
I mean, I don't want to come off as like I don't like Inga. Inga is great. It's just she wasn't the standout for me in that movie.
We'll get to it with our personal awards, but that's the singular best supporting performance of the entire year. So that's the end of this predictions video. Keep an eye out on both of our award expert profiles to see if we make any last minute switches. I probably will do in one or two, probably in the shorts and maybe in like one or few other categories that I'm not confident in. But for the most part, these are our final predictions. Comment your final predictions down below. What are you struggling with the most? In which categories do you have The Last Bus getting visual effects nomination over Frankenstein, which you should? Comment down all your thoughts down below.
Please tell me about all the Twitter discourse.
Tell Anthony how Frankenstein, just reinforce how Frankenstein didn't get a single VAS nomination, and The Last Bus got into the main VFX and 4 nominations at the VFX.
That is the cost of not being on Twitter. I will take it. But
the also, reaction video when Lost Bus gets into visual effects, I will be screaming. I told you.
You're gonna be more excited for the Lost Bus getting in just the nomination.
Probably. Yeah.
If you want to follow what I'm doing outside of the channel, please feel free on Instagram at DAW Studios. That's my professional account, and you can stay with the movies and the musicals that keep me busy outside of doing predictions at 2:15 in the morning. Jesus Christ.
Probably time to end the video then. So as always, like, subscribe, stay tuned, and we will see you in the next one.